Hello and welcome to this edition of Ringside Digest. I'm your host Kirk Day, along with my co-host Byrne and Nick Miller. And in this video, we're going to go over last night's games, April 25th. We got some good games to go over. A few series tying games, and a few people are taking the lead and potentially take the series next game. So before we get into it, if you want to see more from us throughout all the playoffs, the off season, everything, make sure to subscribe because we're going to be having a lot of content coming throughout it. We're going to go over our brackets soon after the first round, after the second round, just to see how we're doing. We're going to have some predictions, some recaps. We're also going to be doing some draft stuff. We got the draft lottery coming up soon. So it's going to be a very exciting time in the playoffs right now. So if you want to see what we're going to have to say about all of it, make sure to subscribe because we're going to be going over all of it. So with our first game of the night, we had the Devils versus the Rangers. In this one, the Devils take a win 3-1 and tie the series 2-2. And I got to say, it was a big win for the Devils because no home team has won in this series at all. Tied 2-2. Devils went 2 at MSG. And the Rangers went 2 at Prudential Center. So if that the tail of the tail, if that keeps on going, that means Rangers will win it. But you never know because the Devils have finally got their feet in this series. It was another great game by Akira Schmid, and the Rangers' offense was a bit slow to start. Vincent Trocheck got one in the second. They were a bit hot in the third, and they were a bit hot after that. But they just couldn't keep going after the Devils just kind of smothered them on the defensive side, really. But I gotta say, it was a good game, and I hope the Devils can make this his actual series now instead of the Rangers taking it in 5 games. It looks like a series to me. If they go back and forth again like they have been, I feel like this could probably go 6 or 7 like we've all had in our brackets. So what do you think about this one, Noah?
The legend of Akira Schmid continues. Another great night by him, and you can tell by how the Devils are playing that they're absolutely behind this guy. They continued to put pucks on net, and they chipped away, and they're back in the series, like you said. They got their feet in. Another thing, huge game from Jonas or Jonas, I can't remember. It's one of Siegenthaler, I'll say. Goal and assist, but also had a huge game-saving play to keep the Devils in it there. So huge shout out to him.
Yeah, I think my play of the game, I've got to say, is Jack Hughes taking the MSG crowd out of it right in the first 2 minutes of the game. With that goal after the Rangers nearly scored to open the game. It was very close. The crowd was bumping, and then all of a sudden Jack Hughes comes in on a breakaway and takes Igor Shesterkin for a ride there. But Jonas Siegenthaler, can't say enough about how the way he played especially after being scratched in game two. He's been much better in the last 2 games. He learned his lesson, and the Devils are back in it.
Yeah, he shouldn't have even been scratched in the first place, in my opinion. I understand. You've got to change a few things up, but
another thing, the Rangers had last change at home ice in those 2 games. Last game, they won 40% of the faceoffs. When you can put your best faceoff guys out there and you're not winning the draws, that's not a good look.
Yeah. And with our second game of the night, which is what I've had as the game of the night for a few days in a row now, is the Maple Leafs versus the Lightning. In this one, the Maple Leafs take it 5-4 in overtime to take a 3-1 series lead against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I gotta say, it was an unbelievable comeback by the Maple Leafs when they were down 4-1. And Matthews gets 2 big goals to bring it back in crunch time, and then Riley ties it to send it to overtime. It was an absolutely nuts game. All this happened within probably around 8 minutes left in the third period. But during this game, neither goalie was really on their game at any point. It was pretty back and forth. Not everything was going in, but a lot of stuff that probably should have been saved in most other games, regular, but they were on their game. And like I said, I always say it happens. But this is a big game for the Leafs. Going up 3-1 and against Tampa, you need this. You can't afford to go down the series, but Toronto can't really get too high on their horse being up in a series either. But I do think this is a big, very, very, very big win for the Maple Leafs going back to Game 5. What do you think, Manoa?
I thought Tampa collapsed yet again. They're in some hot water for sure. Going back to Tampa down 3-1. They need to figure out what's happening in their third periods, and I got a funny feeling it's going to be too late. You spoke about the goalies there as well, and I just want to talk about Vasilevsky. I've praised him in a couple of videos, but I thought he looked lost last night. It's not normal for him. I think he's given up 3 goals in every game so far. For the quote unquote best goalie in the league, it's not good enough. I got some questions for sure.
Yeah, how about Auston Matthews finally stepping up in that game? Auston Matthews stepped up exactly when they needed it. They looked like they were out of it. They were down 4-1. Tampa definitely deserved to win the game for the first 2 periods, but I guess they just forgot how to play hockey in the third, and Auston Matthews and the Leafs capitalized on that. Morgan Riley, again, for all the crap he's taken this year for the way he played in the regular season. He's come up big in the last two games with that game tying goal and the overtime winner in the game before. So a little shout out to Morgan Riley there. Um, I really don't know what's going on in Tampa right now. I don't think we've seen anything like this since before the Lightning won their Stanley Cup. Like that, like back in 2019, like this is the last time we saw the Lightning play like this. This is horrible. But for the Leafs, they very easily could be down 3-1 right now if Tampa figured out how to close those last two games. Very easily could be 3-1 Tampa Bay, and I think Toronto's like they're getting a little bit of luck when they haven't in previous years, and they got to take advantage of this because if they don't win this series, they will never hear the end of it. I swear.
Yeah, Matthew Nyes had a great save on the goal line as well in that game. I think that was a big factor to shift the momentum over towards the Leafs for the rest of the game. But that was huge. Great play by him. It happens for a lot with the Minnesota Golden Gophers between Brock Faber and Matthew Nyes, but something in the water down there.
Yeah, I want to touch on another thing too. I wouldn't get too confident if I'm the Maple Leafs either. You know, we all know the common result in Toronto there, and if there's a team I wouldn't want to play being down 3-1, it's Tampa Bay. You know, we all know they've been to 3 straight Cup finals. They're well coached, and they know how to win when it matters. So I wouldn't be getting too confident.
Yeah. And with our third game of the night, we have the Golden Knights versus the Jets. And this one, the Golden Knights win 4-2 and take a 3-1 series lead. Vegas won the last two in Winnipeg. Chance to take the series here in the next game. That's on Thursday, April 27th. I think they do it, to be honest with you. The Jets just haven't really gotten their groove since that win. They've had a few injuries, that Morrissey. Now, Mark Scheifele left the game last night and didn't return. I've seen that he says he feels good today, but you never know what actually happens on game time. How a player feels and how they actually feel is two different things. So if Scheifele's out next game, I think Vegas takes it at home. So yeah, it's the Jets are on the ropes. That's pretty much what we got about that. Vegas is on their high horse. They're playing good, even with Laurent Brossoit in that. I do think Vegas takes to the next game, regardless of what happens, even if Scheifele is in or out. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought Vegas continued to be dominant. We've seen from the shots on goal and how they played, but it just goes to show how much better they are than the Jets. I thought both goalies played pretty solid. But, like you talked about Scheifele there being down, and I think it's just another significant blow for the Jets, and it's unfortunately they're not going to last very much longer.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Morrissey went down because I think that's a really big deciding factor here. Like maybe this series goes a different way if Josh Morrissey is in or Mark Scheifele comes back in last night's game or something, but it's just unfortunate for the Jets really because they looked promising after game one. They looked like they could have won Game 3, but they got unlucky there with that Amadio goal. And Neil Pionk played 27 minutes last night and was a -3, and that's your best defenseman right now. So it's not looking too good for Winnipeg. Sorry, Jets fans.
Yeah, it's not much you can do too when your top defenseman's out. Even Neil Pionk currently is, I'd say, their best defenseman. There's not much you can do playing against the Golden Knights, and it is just a shame what's happening to them right now. Thought with that win that they would have been done a bit better in this series, but if it does come down to the next game being their last, it's a bit of a rough series for them. And with our final game of the night, we have the Kraken versus the Avalanche. I would give this one it was a pretty good game, I gotta say, a very good game. The Kraken take this one 3-2 in overtime as well, and tie the series 2-2 with the Avalanche. Now, in this game, the Kraken heavily outshot the Avalanche, 43-22. Rantanen scored 2 goals. Colorado couldn't get much else going. The Kraken played well. Like I said, Avalanche having 22 shots, even with Rantanen having 2 goals, that's not enough. Like we said at the beginning of the beginning of the playoffs, these two teams very, very high scoring. So you're going to need as many shots as you can get because it's just going to be a back and forth game of who can score most goals. Their defense, I would say, isn't their highest skill level on both these teams. The Avalanche do have very good defense, and so do the Kraken, but it's just they have very heavily offensive defensemen. So whoever can score the most goals will take it in this game. And last night was the Kraken. One thing to note as well, Makar had a hit on Jared McCann. That was called a 5-minute major, and then it was brought back down to a 2-minute minor penalty. But Makar had a hearing today, and he will be suspended for 1 game for that interference penalty, which is an absolutely huge loss for the Avalanche going to the next game because, like I said, he is their best defenseman. That you can't really afford to lose someone at that caliber in the playoffs, especially when a series is tied. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens next game. Back in Colorado, so it's gonna be fun to watch. What do you think, Noah?
Yeah, it seems like the common theme in the playoffs is the injury bug in every series, and you see that again in Jared McCann going down, and that's massive for the Kraken. He's a 40-goal scorer, and he's probably their best piece offensively, I think. So it could be interesting to see what happens with Seattle, but I just want to talk about the Cale Makar suspension as well. Like you said, he's their best defenseman, and he's arguably the best player on the ice, I think. So with him not in your lineup, maybe the Kraken steal one, and then they're up 3-2, and it's you got Colorado on the ropes for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. After watching that game, I really don't think that it would be considered Seattle stealing one here. I would be considering Colorado's lucky to even be in the game. Like if you look at the stats here, like they out-hit them, they outshot them. Like Seattle outshot and out-hit Colorado. They capitalized on more power plays. The face-off percentage is way better, like at 56%. I think Colorado's lucky to still be in this. Like they played well the game before, but I mean, geez, wake up, guys! Like you just won a Stanley Cup, and you're losing to the Seattle Kraken here potentially. So I did have Colorado in pick. So hopefully, maybe they make me look good in the next 2 games. But without Makar on the ice, that's going to be a little rough.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough going back. If they do lose next game without Makar, even having him back, you got to win. It's a must win at that point. And I think that taking Makar out of the lineup, that is a major loss. Like they can't. That very much couldn't afford it. I mean, it's also very an unnecessary hit. The puck was up in the netting, and Makar just went and hit McCann. I'm almost positive that he knew the puck was up there. I don't think he thought the puck was on McCann's stick or anything. So it's just a weird penalty to take as well, just regardless. It's also like a suspension. Just like Michael Bunting's. And speaking of Michael Bunting, he's also back next game potentially. See what happens with him in the lineup. But it will be interesting to see, and we'll see that all in 2 to 3 days, depending on when the games are in Game 5s and stuff.
I don't put Michael Bunting in there. I leave him out of the lineup. He cost you a little bit in Game 1 there. Like I think they scored 3 or 4 power play goals due to that penalty, and I just think the Leafs have been it's been working. Regardless if Tampa played better in the last 2 games, doesn't matter. It works. Michael Bunting has been on the ice. Keep him off the ice.
Yeah. And just before we end this video, I'm going to go over the games that we have tonight. We only got 3 tonight. It's the Islanders versus the Hurricanes, the Wild versus the Stars, and the Kings versus the Oilers. I think it'll be 2 very good games and 1 mediocre one to start off with the Islanders and Hurricanes, as it's been all series. But that's the end of this video. So if you like it, make sure to give it a like. If you want to subscribe, and like I said at the beginning of the video, we're going to have a lot of stuff coming, a lot of very exciting stuff throughout the playoffs. Make sure to do that as well. So I hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching.